Whew. I told everybody I was going to be late so that I could be first. It worked. So it's going well.
Can I just laugh at this for 2 seconds?
I think you should. That's probably the best thing for it.
I was so prepped, ready. I felt like I was the first one in this month, and then I pop up sideways, and it's probably my fault. I probably should have turned my camera sideways because I forgot that this week was going to be sideways video week. I'm back.
He's back. Okay, ready? Because John's third again. I didn't even admit him like late. You're third, dude. Season 2. John is here, just rolling in at the end. To be fair, I didn't tell both of you that I was.
I'm in that window that you gave us extra on time.
That's very fair. That's very fair. See, that's a mindset thing.
You could say I was extra early because I met with Colt like 30 minutes before.
He's not lying.
So I'm just trying to be, I'm trying to be a straight A student this semester. Next semester, I'm back to D's. I can promise you that. I can guarantee you I'm back to D's.
Thank God, because
next semester.
I was worried.
He's doing too damn good. Everyone's got new backgrounds.
Switch it up, dude. I've been, the last like half hour, like different angles. I'm like, I can't find a solid.
I don't know what is going on. I just mirrored. Did I flip on y'all?
No, you're great.
Okay. Cool. Then it's just on mine. Because whenever I put up the videos, it mirrors my appearance. Like it, mirrors it for me, which is usually fine. But then when I put it up on YouTube, everywhere that I'm pointing is the opposite direction. Everywhere that I'm looking is not where you guys are. And it's just, I'm always like, whenever I watch stuff back, I'm like, I wouldn't listen to this guy. I'd just be looking at like, who is he looking at? Like, this guy's never looking at his team. He's just like, hey guys.
And the word for today's episode is shit show.
Shit, just fucking stressed. Dude, I'll tell you what the name of the game for me is right now. I have allowed myself to be overwhelmed. I took on far too much, and I need to edit a little bit. Like I made the mistake of saying yes to too many things. Yeah, cheers. I don't even have time to. That's how know. That's how you know I'm overwhelmed. I don't even have a drink yet, but
let's do a pause. Yeah. Let's do a pause. We have to pause. There's no way. Let's pause. Colt, let's make room for this. Make it happen. Yes.
Cheers, everybody.
Handle bourbon already open.
There we go. Straight from the bottle. Who cares?
Cheers, guys. Well, actually, this is perfect because I was playing with a few ideas for the topic, and it's actually how as men, especially with this year changing everything up, how do we deal with overwhelm? How do you deal when you actually do end up promising too much? And how do we get ourselves back to a grounded place? And like Brandon was saying, pause.
Well, Colt.
Yeah. Yeah, and you notice I didn't even like look around at the screen to see if anybody was like doing like a, like the lean. I was just like, I got something to say. I'm just gonna. So, we talked about this a little bit on Tuesday in a sense, not being overwhelmed, but on our live show on Coffee and Tea, we talked about the kind of idea of helping your partner. So within a relationship, I'm very fortunate that like fucking someone just hands me a bottle, like, you know what I mean? And that metaphor could be expanded in a lot of ways. My wife is my partner, is my best friend, helps me get through so many things. But at the same time, I've learned that I can't put that burden on her because it's not her responsibility. I'm thankful that she takes the time to do that and loves me enough to listen and do those things and to help me. But no matter what, I have to help myself more than that. And the only way that I ever find a way to do that is editing. It's going into the fire and going, well, fuck me. Like I can get it done. And we've been saying this a lot lately. We will accomplish everything that we are supposed to accomplish in life, because I will do anything I need to do those things. But what I'm realizing is that I will not do whatever it takes to do shit that I don't actually care about. And so that's what I'm finding right now, is that like I had something an audition that I shouldn't have said yes, I'll make time for, but I felt even though I read it and I was like, oh my God, this cast is incredible, I want to be a part of this, but I read the role and I just didn't connect with it in any way, and it felt forced. And I made the tape, and even my manager was like, this, for some reason, like this one doesn't connect. Like I never have this feeling, but it doesn't connect. And I was like, I agree. And then I reshot it and I sent it, and it was just like, I don't have time for that right now. I should have just gone with my gut and been like, okay, you know what? No, thank you so much. But there's a guilt that I feel of, I don't have the right to say no. I haven't earned the right to say no. I haven't earned the right to edit. And so figuring out how to edit, I don't know that I have the answer for it, but that for me is something that I'm learning to do. I'm still clearly very poor at it. It was hard for me, Brandon, when you and I talked a second ago, to be like, I was like, at the very end of the conversation, I was like, you know what? I can't actually do any more right now, because I am fucked time-wise at the moment. If I was to pick a very, elegant descriptive word.
It was perfect. I think it's a perfect word.
Yeah. And you gave the response that was so necessary and loved. You were like, okay, cool. Like, it was just, I feel like you could feel that I was like, no, I'm so sorry, but I genuinely can't. And I think we're scared to do that. I know I'm scared to do that. I'm scared to think that I don't want to say matter enough, but that I'm right, that I do matter, that my time matters as much as I feel other people's time matters. Does that make sense?
I love where you took this. I had an amazing conversation with a good friend of mine, Mark Groves, who's Create the Love on Instagram. But I think the reason we say yes is because we don't want to, for me, it's an ego thing. I don't want to not look like the good guy. I don't want to not look like the dependable guy. I don't want to not look like, you know what I'm saying? I don't want to not look like what I portray myself to be. So let me just commit to all these things so everybody love me. I got a truck, you need to move? I got you. You need me to help you with some whatever mentorship? I got you. You want me to take you on a date? I got you. You need me to do a Zoom call? I got you. You need me to do an interview? I got you. And then inside I'm like, what the shit? So then I'm late for a Zoom call. I'm late picking up someone, and so you overcommit because you're not standing and owning the fact that it's okay to say no. And it's okay to take time for you. And it's okay to say, you know what? Like, I don't even want to do anything today. I'm going to do something for me. I'm sorry, no one, I'm not available. Not because I'm busy, just because I don't want to fucking do anything else than what I want to do today. Brandon just wants what I need to do today.
Need to do. That's the problem for me right now. That has nothing to do with what I want to do. I mean, it does in the sense that what I want to do happens to coincide with what I literally need to do. But
yeah,
oh fuck, I love that. Yeah, John.
I know. Well, no, I love this topic because this is something I've been over the last couple of months been asking, and like myself, and just because I've caught myself in the same exact thing. It's just like, I remember there's a saying in the back of, so I don't know where I've heard it. I'm guessing you've heard, if you want something done, ask a busy person. They'll get it done and they'll move on. And I've say the last 2 years have become someone that for certain people, where it's like, hey, I need this. And I'm a person that's like, I always look at life, everything's on a plate. And so when someone asks me to do something, I didn't ask to be on my plate, but someone wants to slide some mashed potatoes on my plate or some corn on my plate, and I want to eat it and get it off my plate as soon as possible. So it's like, I'll take stuff on, but I want it to kind of be done. But I remember it wasn't until like months ago that I was talking to my therapist about this. So I felt the same thing. I felt overwhelmed. Like Brandon was saying, I was like, yeah, I'll help you out there. Yeah, I got that. Yeah, I'll show up there. Yeah, I'll do this. I'll do that. But inside, I was like, yo, what are you doing? We were supposed to say no like 10 things ago. And you've now added all these things. And my therapist made me realize, she's like, what you're basically doing is you're prioritizing other people's wishes over your own wishes. You're not willing to set a boundary and like say, I can't actually help you with that. I'm sorry, I can't do that. And it's not saying anything against them. It's just for my own sanity, for my own emotional level and everything like that. I have to take a pause and not take this on. But I also think it's a male thing. It's like, we can solve the problem. We can figure it out. We can make it happen. And so we take on these things. And the other thing is like, a lot of these things are like 5-10 minute tasks. But when you get to like 40 of them in one day, you're just like, all right, well, this took up a solid amount of my day and having tackled the things I want. And so I started realizing boundaries, like set up like with certain people. There's certain people like I know when they call, they're gonna need something. So I either don't pick up the phone call or I call them later on where I know, okay, let me put myself in a space that there's about to be a request.
That's why John doesn't call. He doesn't answer when I call. That's why. Great.
Not you. You're not on that list.
You, bro.
No, but it's setting up that boundary of really understanding what I can say yes to and what I wish to not, because now being in a place where I don't stress out as much because I still have these days where I'm like, oh, like this past Monday, back to back phone calls. And I remember like halfway through, I'm like, well, I overpromised today. Okay, I'm gonna get all this done, but I definitely overpromised myself because I'm like, oh, I gotta go to the phone right now. Sorry, hang up and immediately accept the next phone call because that phone call is beginning, and I know that's gonna be an hour phone call. And like feeling that stress is the days that remind me, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna slide this off my plate tomorrow, slide this off my plate on Wednesday, slide this off Thursday, and kind of like Brandon also was saying is like taking those days where I'm like, not gonna call anyone today. I'm not gonna do very much.
So you know what gets me though? So there's two aspects of that I want to talk about, or like just expand on, which is one of them is I don't have a lot of friends. Like I just don't. So I don't have the kind of minutia of like anybody that ever calls me. Most of the time I don't pick up, and just for a multitude of reasons, but only like 3 people, and I mean this literally, ever call me. I talked to my dad today. I talked to my dad and my mom today for 1 minute each because I was waiting for something to load into the computer, and I was like, hey, Pop, I just wanted to call and let you know that I got your message. I was thinking about you, and I'm sorry that I haven't been able to call you back. I am fucking busy, and I love you. I'll talk to you soon. And he took the next 15-20 seconds and he said, son, I don't call you to get you to call me back. I call you to let you know I'm thinking about you. You don't need to call me. And I was like, and suddenly I took a breath and I was like, that means the world to me. I got to go. Like, and then I called my mom and the same thing. I called and I said, hey, I love you. I'm very busy. I can't talk. And she goes, oh, that was really sweet. Thank you so much. And it just like, it took this pressure off. So I kind of, to any of us out there who put pressure on others to call us back or to make those things happen, if it's not a business thing, if it's, and if it's not a repetitive thing, if it's an occasional thing, because then it becomes an act that's separate from love. It's kind of showing a lack thereof, I feel like. But that was one of those things I wanted to talk about. And the other one was, how do you deal with you could tell I'm literally really going through this at the moment. I'm sorry. I'm not usually this manic, but I'm overwhelmed. How do you find it's best to take that time? Because what I worry about is like when it rains, it pours. And then when it's not raining, it's a fucking drought. Like, sure. And granted, I have a lot that will be extended work right now. And I have to remember that I'll be able to take that time. But sometimes I find that I overpromise because, in our business, especially Brandon and John, what you do too, I'm sure that there's a level at which sometimes you're like, what do I do? And I'm not good at just like sitting down and waiting on the phone to ring so somebody can tell me what to do. Like I need to create, and that's what, this is. And So part of love has been, and that's what this new project is. But how do you deal with those downtimes that aren't chosen? Like, because that's why I tend to overpromise, is because I worry about those downtimes. I'm thinking too far in the future. Does that make sense? It may not.
Yeah, I went first last time. John can dive in, and I'll piggyback off of whatever John has to share.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's two parts. When you're saying it rains, it pours, and when it doesn't, it's a drought. And I think sometimes when I see a bunch of stuff coming in, I try to ask myself, one, why am I saying yes to what I'm saying?
Okay.
But also, what do I really need to do right now? So it's like if it rains and when it rains, it pours. I put a bucket outside to collect some of that water. So when it comes to a drought, I can use some of that water later. And so sometimes, sometimes it's easy to think we need to do everything right now. But I was one thing I've been trying to practice more is that when I'm saying yes, I ask myself, am I saying yes to this because I actually want to do this, or am I saying yes because for some reason I'm either feeling a pressure by this person, I'm putting a pressure on myself, thinking that if I don't do this, I'm missing an opportunity. Like really asking what's the why that we're saying yes, because then that dictates where it becomes on or where it lands on the priority list. Because certain things don't have to happen right now. Even if someone calls like there's an emergency, I need you to take care of this. I had that happen last week. Someone needed something from me, and I was just like, "Great, I'll get that to you in 2 days." And like, well, I need to know right now, and I'm like, I'm not going to give you an answer. I was like, I have other things to take care of, and this is not a priority for me. This is a priority for you, and you waited till the last minute to ask me, and I'd assume if you need an answer from me, if you want me involved, like I'll let you know in 2 days. If you need something somewhere else, feel free. But it's like making sure that, and again, it goes back to those boundaries of knowing where it needs to fall on the priority list.
I like
the word that keeps coming up in the conversation is boundaries, but I think that's for people, right? That's for people, but it's also for your own health, mental health, and your emotional well-being. The boundaries are for that. But I think the more important question in this is what expectations have you placed on yourself? So I look at what expectations have I created for me? Like, am I being honest with me about who I am, what I want to do, and am I doing it? Right? Like, am I, yeah. So we can really examine the outside of this, of people asking and why we show up for people. But the real question is, who do I want to be and who am I? And that will determine my yeses and my nos.
Yeah.
Like,
holding on to that.
Go ahead.
No. It's just holding on to that. It's remembering that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I preach the what and why very often, and with relationships, because that's something that I'm keyed into.
Right.
It's something that's much more available to me with my relationships in that sense. But then I step outside of just my life, my marriage, my intrapersonal relationship, I'm pretty solid on, but my interpersonal relationships outside, when it comes to business, I'm like, fuck, how do I do this? I kind of find that I lose myself because I forget the question that is exactly what you're saying, the what and why. So
and when you say that, what comes up for me, which is, why do I abandon myself in order to? Why do I sabotage myself in order to? Why do I sacrifice myself in order to? And whatever the blank is that's filled in, and mind you, this is from my own experience of abandoning Brandon, letting go of Brandon in order to make someone else happy, but really making someone else happy is like, well, you'll like me, or you'll book me, or you'll whatever. Like, I'm gonna have some sense of validation or affirmation from you because I let go of a little bit of me and what I should have done, which is say no or not right now, in order to prioritize you and prioritize your needs. But when I start to prioritize myself and when I start to say yes to me, I can say no to them. You know, and what's beautiful is, this is a mentor of mine, a good friend. He said, it's a beautiful thing to say, not right now, in order to say yes later. Because not right now doesn't mean no. Not right now just means in this moment, I cannot meet whatever this need is. I cannot fulfill this relationship to its potential. I cannot do this audition to the fullest of my ability, or I'm not even pulled to this role like that, not right now, in order to say yes later. Because when that script does come through in your email, when that call does come in from Yellowstone, it'll be the perfect time. And you'll say, yo, this character, this role, this episode is perfect for me because I said not right now to say yes later. So I'm practicing this currently, and it's not easy. Decisions made from a healed place do not feel good.
I mean, y'all are just, I love, so this is one of the first times that I think one of our topics has immediately landed in such a specific way with something we're going through within that like literal 24 hours. Like,
yeah.
And it's definitely the first time I will say for me. I shouldn't say in general because, you know, we've all laid ourselves bare throughout season 1 and even episode 1 of season 2, which yes, everybody, thank you so much for watching because it is the #1 video in the last, 20 videos that we've had because everybody was so stoked about it and the response has been really great. I always get this when people talk about it, they say, that was a really great episode. It was pretty deep. You guys went deep. But I was like, I thought, isn't that what we were gonna do? I thought that was like, how many like just Baby Town Frolics episodes do we do where people were like, you know what, this is cool. I'm just gonna eat some popcorn, it's cotton candy, like.
Yeah.
But I like that we just swung in with season 2. We were like, okay, here we go.
Fences, baby, fences.
Yeah, I really, really love that for you made me think of something in the midst of what you were saying that your mentor had told you. And it seems to me that it's almost an element of, and I heard Nick Offerman did an Oxford Union speech, not recently, but I heard it recently. And I love those Oxford Union addresses. Those things are the best.
The best.
But I love anything like this where you take an hour or 2 hours and you just break some topic down and just get to the core of it. I appreciate that so much. And so thank you guys for being a part of like creating a platform to do that. But what you made me think of was every time I say yes, it diminishes my yes a little bit. Like if I just say it, if you always know when you send me something, I'm going to say yes, it diminishes that yes. There's no longer an emphatic or an emphasis on that. There's no longer any expression with it. There's no tone to it. It's just, well, obviously he's going to say yes.
Right.
And I'm realizing as I am being refined by the conversation that is something that is necessary for me to introduce to my lexicon is no. And being able to edit and not right now. I love that because a couple of things happened. And this is what Nick Offerman was talking about. He said, when I got into woodworking, I found that I had a source of income. I was no longer going into an audition and going, $35,000 a week. Oh yes, please hire me. And he was like, I had money, I had a place to live, I had something I loved doing. And suddenly when I was in a room, whether it was an audition room or a bar or a wherever, it was something I had that I wouldn't give away, which innately made everyone else want it. And there's something to that of wanting a yes if you don't know if you're going to get it or not. And just being able to take your own power and love yourself enough to have that power and to know innately we have it. We have that, but we give it away. And I'm very thankful for the opportunities that are currently presented to me, whether I'm creating them or they've just been thrown into, the mix. But had I looked and not just said yes, I literally typed absolutely yes to an email that has now wildly overwhelmed me, that I did not want to actually be a part of because I was just like, sure. And this conversation was extremely well timed, and I'm very appreciative of it.
Well, I heard a saying one time that the most successful people say no way more than they ever say yes. And that's one of the biggest. And I remember when I first heard it, I was confused by it because I'm like, that doesn't make sense because most successful people must be saying yes to all the right things. But it's kind of like what Brandon was saying no right now so I can say yes later.
Yeah.
And sometimes we say yes to something that takes suddenly like our whole week or a whole day, and then some better opportunity or something that actually aligns with who we are, or what we want to be doing shows up, and we can't fit it because we don't even want to take the risk of like looking bad on that thing. So it's better definitely say no. If I'm going to 100% do right on that, and then when you think about it in theory, how crazy that we're willing to say no to something that we really want to do, but we say no because we know we won't be able to 100% commit. But then we say yes to something that we're like, I already know I'm going to half-ass this because I have no interest in doing this, but yet I have free time. Why don't I take it? And that's usually like that test in life that surprises us. I'm like, should have said no to this. Or like, especially when you know, I don't want to be doing this. Like, I don't want to be putting my time here, or I don't want to put my energy to this. And then you're like, okay, lesson learned. Noted for next time.
Noted.
You know what's interesting is I have a young man who reached out to me and he says, I want some more mature friends. Will you hang out with me? Will you be my friend? And something in him is saying no to the actions and the behavior around him to present an opportunity where he just reached out in transparency and was like, big bro, I've known you for years. Like, can we hang out more? I see how you move through the world and you're the kind of man I want to be around. There was something in that for me that really spoke to this idea of him acknowledging and seeing what his gut was telling him in order to become the man he wants to be one day. This is less about me and more about who he's becoming. He knows and he feels and he senses, I need to remove myself, step away from what's familiar, what I know, what I'm around. I've probably known these guys for 5 to 6 years, but something in me right now knows I cannot grow, I cannot progress in my life, expand my heart, grow in vulnerability, transparency, integrity, anything in my life if I surround myself with the guys who are okay with repeating old habits and behaviors that I'm seeing. This is evidence that you are not growing. If we've been doing the same thing for the last 6 years, going to the same clubs, dating the same kinds of women, doing the same kind of drugs, playing the same kind of video games, there's no growth here. No matter how much money you be making from whatever you may make money from, there is no growth here. It is a dead place. So I really value that because relationally, there's something amazing about being able to say no to something, to say yes to something else. Oftentimes what I see is when someone is so hungry to not be alone, is so hungry to feel validated and so hungry to feel loved and so hungry to feel affection and desire and sex, that they'll say yes to something that they know they should be saying no to. And for men, I think our trouble is trusting our intuition and trusting our gut. Because our gut and our intuition says, hey, I don't feel good about this. I see this. I feel like I don't really want to. You don't know why. And you can't explain why. So logic comes in and shuts your intuition up. No, well, if I make this decision, listen, so if that check comes in, okay, that's 6 months down the road, okay, but then if I have that project, that relationship's going to lead to this, okay, bet. Intuition is trying to scream out and it can't because logic has already mapped out a whole game plan of why this makes sense. Then you say yes to something and the second you say yes, you feel like, fuck, why'd I do that? I know this for myself. The second I say yes, I'm like, God dang it. Why did I do that? Because it's harder to go back and renege and say,
yeah.
Actually, you can't say yes and then be like, actually, it's a no. I don't even know why I said yes, but for this particular, no, I'm not an asshole. I'm not an asshole.
No. I'm following my gut intuition.
I'm just following my intuition after the fact, instead of leading with from the beginning and trusting your gut. And that's something I want to encourage more men to do, is listen to that internal voice that doesn't sound like logic sometimes. And it may not make sense, but it's your instincts kicking in. It's your natural, you're going to call it the feminine or whatever. It's trying to tell you something. It's a truth in you that is leading you closer to who it is that you are, not who you're trying to be.
I like that. I like that a lot. Nomming.
I like that.
Well, I mean, well, here's a question for people, for guys who have never listened into their intuition, unless they just
Sure.
heard you say all that.
Mhm.
Where does one start? Because I think that's one of the big struggles for a lot, not even just men. I think for a lot of people is they hear, okay, I get what you're saying. Listen to your gut, listen to your intuition. I don't even know where to begin.
Mhm.
What would be a starting place?
It's not even something I think you can break down and say, oh, there's a way to explain this in step form. It's a nudge. It's an inclination. It's you literally, honestly, and I don't know about you guys, I feel it in my gut. When I get that email, my gut is literally like, I don't know. Literally, I have a physical reaction to something if I don't really want to do it. I mean, this happened recently, and it wasn't that it was a no. It just, I felt a hesitation about a relationship, and I couldn't figure out why I felt the hesitation. And then it was revealed to me why I felt the hesitation.
Mhm.
Because I trusted myself. I trusted that initial feeling of you can't fully just dive in yet. It's the same thing if you were to walk into a dark wood at night. Your body and your inside and your gut's going to say to you, I don't know if something's going to pop. Maybe you walk through the woods and you're fine. That's a good chance. But there's also a good chance a bobcat's going to jump out and eat your ass alive too. Or there's someone out there, there's a homeless guy or a coyote. There's something in your instincts are telling you to protect you, to keep you safe, to keep your heart safe, your mind safe, everything. Your intuition and your instincts are something you can't really explain. It is internal. It is a silent, still voice in you that you have to learn to trust. And then you watch the evidence. Okay, I'm going to trust my gut in the situation. I'm going to say no and see what happens. Oh, the project fell through. Wow, that's crazy. I'm going to trust my gut here. Oh, wow, you're actually married and you're trying to date me? That's good to know. I'm going to trust my gut here. Don't spend your money on this right now because a bill's going to come through all of a sudden and go into your bank account. So you trust the fact that you shouldn't buy this pair of shoes, or you shouldn't buy this pizza right now, or you shouldn't buy your fourth drink at the bar because your body and your mind are trying to tell you there's something coming you don't see yet. So keep trusting it. And when you trust it, the evidence will prove to you, I'm here to help you. I'm here to aid you. I'm here to push you towards. And I'm not here to defeat you, tear you down, and make you small.
So I love that you talked about it that way. I looked down at my phone for a second because I wanted to make sure that I didn't misquote who it was, just in case anybody wants to look this up. You talk about it from the gut. Well, this is such an old concept. Socrates used to talk about the divine inner voice, right? He always said that he had a demon or an inner voice in his head, that when he was saying something or doing something or thinking something, there's always that other voice that we call conscience or gut feeling or intuition that says, you don't mean that. You don't think that. You don't want that. Don't do that. And that whenever he was talking, if that voice came up and said, stop talking, that he would just stop talking. He would say yes or no, but he followed that to such a degree that that was how he discovered himself. That's and stayed true to himself. And I mean, Socrates really had to follow that to a real degree towards the end. Like there's some real dark shit that happened that he was like, nope, I'm up here, I'm in tune. And I believe, I know when Angelina and I discussed this, that is, in my opinion, that is a connection to the spiritual world. And I mean, that's the voice of God, that still small voice. If you believe, like, I'm just saying, if that's something that you connect with, as Brandon totally doesn't, as you could see, that's I'm not big on personification of God. That doesn't vibe for me, but I hear that voice and I go, oh, you're taking me somewhere. Like, listen, whether it's fate, whether it's God, whether it's your still small voice, your gut intuition, your divine inner voice, your demon, whatever it is, your conscience. I need to start listening to that even more, because it's been something I talked about in the last episode. It's been something that's been a huge part of my life recently. But the thing that I love about this conversation and the fact that I'm such a hot mess today is that we started this so that we could do exactly what we're doing, so we could fail in front of people. And I know that tomorrow morning I will enjoy my walk and talk that I have not done because I've felt like I didn't have time. I told Ange last night, I said, I love you. I need you to do me a favor. I'm not going to get as much sleep as I need to right now because I don't have time to sleep. I have too much shit that I need to do. I don't have time to sleep right now because that's the only way I will get my stuff done. That said, I will make time for that walk and talk, for the what and why, and for going, okay, I'm here with you. What do we need to do? What do we need to do? Not even what do we have to do, what do we want to do? What do we need to do? Because that's the only shit I'm going to do right now. And I think taking that, as you, John, were asking for like how what's an exercise? I'm with Brandon. I think it's up here. Mm-hmm. But whether it's a walk and talk where you just talk to yourself because you won't let yourself off the hook, or I make a list of what and why sometimes. This is what's going on. This is what I'm feeling. Why? Why do I feel that? Because the why is almost more important than the what. Like you've got to get, step one to step two. But if you don't do the why, going, I could have come on here and been like, I just got a lot of shit going on. What do you have going on? It's a bunch of stuff, and then listed it. If nobody said why, I would be overwhelmed for the rest of the night, even if I was doing it. It's the why that changes that. So if I was to try and find any step, it's listening to the voice and going, okay, this is the what. I'm not going to do that now. Why? Why was that there in the first place? Why did I have the inclination to buy the sneakers, to have the fourth drink, to do these things, to seek out another partner, to do these, like, what was that and why?
Why?
I think focusing on that will help us do that. Would have helped me. And
yeah. Well, I think also I've heard what Brandon was saying, and I've heard different people in the past say, it's just like, it's a practice. You start asking yourself and you start listening to it, and then there'll be mistakes because there's different parts that are speaking. And one piece of advice that was also given to me in the listening of yourself is this place coming from a place of fear or a place of concern? Because it's like you're saying, you can go into dark woods, and if something's coming up that's saying, okay, there's something seems to be moving in the shadows over there, so I got to be concerned going this route that there's something potentially could hurt me. But it's like going into a dark room and being like, all right, well, I don't hear anything, I don't see anything moving, but it's dark and I don't know what's in there, so I don't want to go in that room. That's a place of fear. And it's not really being open to like, okay, because it's one thing that, like, when your gut speaks up, and I've always had this with owls for some reason. When I hear owls or I see owls, it's almost like the universe is telling me, yo, you're not paying attention. Like, now here's this little symbol saying, be very aware. And I usually get very quiet. And it's happened in the most random times in my life where I'm usually talking or something, and I'll either see an owl or something will remind me of an owl, and I'll get quiet because it's something telling me, yo, be very aware of what's your surroundings. Just be very aware. I'm not saying that something bad is going to happen. Stop talking and be aware. But it's the practice of each time, like reinforcing, like when you listen to your gut and it turns out to be right, like, oh, I shouldn't have gone in that room, or I shouldn't have started that relationship, or I shouldn't have gone on that one date. Like, being able to catch that in the moment and being like, all right, that was a good decision, and being able to reinforce where that's coming from and what it's actually trying to tell you. Because a lot of times some people think it's their gut, but in reality it's their fear. I shouldn't go on this date, like it's a bad idea. But in reality it's like, no, they're scared to put themselves out there, they're scared to be vulnerable. But they're using it as like, oh no, my gut's telling me not to go. And it sometimes can get confusing, but it is that in the beginning, that practice of just like, okay, I asking myself what my gut's telling me, and this is where it's telling me to lean. I'm going to pay attention, like Brandon was saying, like, I'm going to be aware of the results. Is this the results that I wanted? And if not, if I didn't necessarily get the results I wanted, was it that I was listening to my gut, or was I listening to something else and trying to say it was my gut?
Yeah, it's the follow-up question. I like that.
Because I'm also, the other part I'm intrigued is what happens when you already said yes. like, I mean, Colt, you're saying that you said yes, absolutely in the email. So you're already there.
Mhm.
So going back to what Brandon was saying in the beginning, what are some ways that you guys have practiced or done when you're like, you've caught yourself, you're overwhelmed and you're like, shit, I need to stop for a second. How do you readdress from that moment?
After I've said yes to things?
When you know you've already committed to it and you're like, all right, lesson learned, I shouldn't say yes next time, but I'm already here, so I'm gonna have to do this. I'm already committed.
I always look for the lesson in that. I always look for the lesson in that. Instead of complaining, instead of griping over it, instead of, because who else can I be mad at besides myself? I said, it's my word. I said yes. So what is the lesson in this moment? Because what I found is that God again, God can show you the good in any situation, circumstance. There's always something in there if you decide to be. I love the fact that we brought up awareness and paying attention, because when I look at the ability to pay attention and being aware, you understand that no matter what the moment is, you won't ever get that moment again. So if you understand that you'll never get this moment again, what are you going to do with it? Because now that you're in it, you have control over a certain aspect and circumstance of it. Okay, I said yes, fuck it, here we go, balls to the wall. I'm giving it all I got. I'm gonna put this audition on tape. I'm gonna go through the lines. I'm gonna break down the operative word. I'm gonna get in front of it. I'm gonna get the backdrop set up. I'm gonna do the lights. I'm gonna put the same integrity into it that I would have if I was excited about a role, because I said yes to it. So I can't half-ass my yes.
Yeah.
So now my practice is, if I say yes, I fucking mean that shit, whether I want to or not. So then I have to look through that process of, now that I've said yes, especially with like a date. You can't say yes to a date and then show up half-assed on a date, because that's just shitty to do to somebody else. That's not okay, to waste their time, waste their energy, waste their excitement of like getting dressed, and I can't wait to meet this person, the conversation I'm gonna have. If you're gonna say yes to a date, you're kind of like, really fucking fully step into it. Really go to that date, have that conversation, connect, listen. Maybe you see that it's supposed to be a business partnership and not a romantic relationship. Maybe you see you're supposed to be friends. Maybe you see you just needed to show her that, you know, you're attractive and you are worthy of someone pursuing you and saying, hey, I want to take you out. Like, you don't know what the why is sometimes off the bat, but you need to understand that why I said yes, and that when I say yes, this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen no matter what.
Yes.
So I always look for the lesson beyond the yes.
I think that's a fucking quotable.
Yeah.
Personally.
Yeah.
I think that's great.
I think there's like 6 or 7 quotes in there.
So with that, one thing that I love, you know, Stella Adler says in one of her books, and I'm sure in many talks, she says, there was a time when a man would rather die than break his word. And I love that, because obviously it doesn't just apply to men, it's a general thing, but it means so much more. And since I read those words, and honestly, since I had some conversations with, you know, Ange, and some different people, and I was like, oh, now if I say yes, there's no question, I'm gonna get it done. Yep. I won't sleep. I won't fucking take time to eat. I'm gonna get my shit done because I told you I would do it. And there's only one thing that I have control over, and that is my actions. And whether or not I lost control in the moment that I said yes or not, I have control over everything that happens from this moment on. So I'm either going to do it, or depending on, and obviously it's circumstantial. If I said yes to a date, but I know that I am not at all interested, I'm not like, and I just like, there was, I don't know, I was drunk or I was A, B, C, D, E, I may call and just be like, hey, I don't want to put you out. I want to let you know, like, I'm not interested in this romantically. I'm just going to be straight up. I'm not. However, you know what? You want to go out tonight still and just like go hang out? Cool. Or I've overextended myself. I've had to do that a couple of times this week. I've had to call people and like, hey, I did it last
with dates.
You're a married man. I haven't been on dates. No. Y'all want to know something crazy? Tonight at 12, well, tomorrow morning at 12:03 a.m. on 12/3, 2010, I proposed to Angelina Mullins not a mile from where I'm sitting right now.
Wow.
Yo, wow.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Congrats.
So we're gonna have a little celebration. She's not in the room right now, but we're gonna have a little celebration tonight. I just wanted to throw that out there that no, I haven't been on a date in 11-ish years, but she literally made a date because it was when we realized it, she went and got a fucking pizza delivered and like,
Hey yo, AON.
hey, come on, yo.
You went and got a pizza for my guy Colt. That's a pretty classy chick right there. I like that.
I was like,
that
and they came in with the fucking like handle, the like not even 750 milliliter, like the gallon of bullet. I was like, oh, we're doing liters now. We're measuring our drinks in liters. Great. Fuck ounces. Some Bush League. Fucking Bush League, bro.
Yo, I wanted to tap though. I like that you pointed out that at certain points you do have to make the call and just let them know that, yo, I overcommitted.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
That was
owning up that we made a mistake.
Yeah, and that's okay. And I think there was something that you touched on that I want to make sure that we kind of expand on, which is, and both of you touched on it, but when we get into these situations, we don't always know how it's going to go, but we can learn from it. And I think that there's something that we always talk about on Part of Love in general, and that I think have talked about on the Refinery quite a bit, which is these are not rules that will make your life perfect. There's no such thing. Let that shit go. Because if that's your goal with this, no, I'm sorry. I love you. I'm fucking sending love your way. No, that's not how this works. Because if it's just perfect, it's the same thing as if you're just sitting around watching fucking Netflix and eating all day. You don't grow. It's you're growing or you're dying. Like it's a 50-50. Like, so accept that even though you may listen to your gut, there are still going to be things that don't go your way. You're still going to go on shitty dates. You're still going to miss out on opportunities. You are going to make the wrong choice, but it's going to be the right choice because guess what? You made it. So if you made it, not if your fear made it, not if your fucking worry made it, not if the what ifs that creep into your head at night, Shel Silverstein reference, not if the what ifs are making your decisions for you. If you're making those decisions, you can at least at the end of the day, and it's funny because I preach this when I teach, I always say, when you go into an audition, all you need to do is know that you did everything you could, that you are comfortable with what you put out there. Because if then they go, no, you're not right, it doesn't mean you're bad. It doesn't mean you're wrong. It doesn't mean you're anything less than what you were before you walked in there. Their validation is not your responsibility. Yours is. And in that moment, outside in life, outside of performing, outside of work, just in day-to-day life, going, shit, I have to remind myself to show up with that validation in me, that when I say no, it may go to someone who looks exactly like me and they now have the job and they have my exact thing. It goes to Colt Prattes and you're like, son of a bitch, I should have done that tape. But I can genuinely say from the bottom of my heart that this year specifically, but really in the last 3 years, I have made more and more decisions. And like you said, it's a practice, right? We said this on something recently. We train so hard in the gym to be stronger, to get bigger, or to get faster. If we want to play football, you don't have a team that shows up and has never played football and goes up against a team that has played football, like a football team. You don't have that. And then you, at the end of the game, you're like, shit, we should start playing football, y'all. Like, that's not how it works. But when it comes to ourselves, emotionally, mentally, we just go, no. Physically is different. physically is different. I have to train that, but this should just be intact naturally. And if I don't have it, I'm crazy. I'm a loser. I'm shit. I'm not a good man. I'm this and that. No, you're out of practice, or you just never did. It's okay. It's okay. So fuck, I'll look right in the camera for this one. If you don't feel like your best self, practice more. Just wanted to throw that out there.
That's like that's the bow, really. I mean, because honestly, as we ended the conversation, I was like, there he is. I feel like I was like in Hook, and the little voice looking at Peter Pan. It's like, Peter. He's like moving the skin on his face. There you are, Peter. It was like that. There you are, Colt. Because the man who got on the call was very like manic and very like, oh God.
Oh
hey,
yeah.
Hey, you know. But and I knew that this to me is the quote Jon put up today. By the way, Jon, thank you for making that quote. I really appreciate it. So when you're able to have that conversation with another man, you say, "How are you doing?" As they work through all their thoughts, all their feelings, they honestly just come back to themselves. And you don't even have to try and fix. And this is in relationships, period. You don't have to fix a damn thing. Allow them to talk, listen, let them get it all out. Because eventually they will come back to themselves. And when you listen to that person, all you have to do is say, oh, you got it. You got it. You got it. Literally everything you said post your like
Admission
overloaded. Yeah. After you're like overloaded, you're like, but actually I have the solution. And I tell motherfuckers all the time. But then I tell myself, I gotta practice this shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like an audition. It's like you gotta practice, right? Because if you don't practice, you don't play, right? But anyway, like I was saying, I'm overlaid. You know, it's just a beautiful thing to watch someone come full circle back to the consciousness, the gut, the feeling inside that you already have the answer within you. Even if you never knew you had it, you'll find yourself in a conversation, you'll find yourself in a book, and you'll be like, yo, I said that before. I've heard that before. I felt that before. Wait, where'd that even come from? It's because we are all mirrors for each other. We are all mirrors for each other. And every experience or every book you read or every interview you hear, and I'm sorry to say this, there is nothing new that's not already in you. There is nothing new. You may have a revelation, meaning that this thing has been revealed to you, but it is not something that is created out of history for the first time ever, a thought. You may not have the technical term, you may not have the scientific term, you may not have the whatever term, the theatrical term for whatever it is you're experiencing, but something in your life has given you that same lesson, that same notion, that same idea, just paint it in a different story, in a different way. And then you'll hear it and you'll say, but this is, oh shit, that's the thing that I've been feeling. That's great. I didn't know that was a study. I didn't know that's a scientific stat. I didn't know there was a census around that. That's crazy. That's the beauty of trusting yourself, is understanding that all the answers are inside of you if you take the time to listen.
Well, this thing is
Love that.
There's so many bows on this motherfucker.
With Christmas, baby.
I mean, it's a Christmas episode. We're in December now. It's fucking Christmas episode. All episodes forthcoming will be Christmas episodes until March. Get ready.
Right. Quick plug. Watch Jingle Jangle on Netflix. I love that movie.
Sorry, I didn't mean to clap so loud.
Huh?
I didn't mean to clap so loud. You ready for this?
Yeah.
So I just read something about that. He wrote that or began working on that in 1990.
Get out of here.
Seriously, 1990 or 1999. Wow. It was but it was in the 90s. He started working on it. It took 21 years.
Yeah.
Saw the math. 21 years for that dream to come to fruition, and now it is changing the world. I mean, it's one of the most streamed things on Netflix currently. It's incredible. And the fact is, sometimes, oh God, I want to be able to find this quote. And Jon, if you say, Jon, if you say something, I may just look down my phone and be like, I'm just looking for this Jingle Jangle quote. You know what, Jon? Just say something. Just say something. because I'm not lying. I'm gonna
John, what's your favorite Christmas movie?
There we go.
You know what? The Klauses. I watched it not too long, or probably actually a couple months ago.
From last year?
Yeah, I don't know when it came out, but it's an animated movie, but it explains where Santa came from. And I like the riff on it. They did a really good job with that one.
Keep going. It's right here. Either way, it's just something about your dream may be ahead of its time. I'm gonna put whatever it is. I might put it in as a tag because
we'll find it for you guys.
Sunday we'll put it as a quote for the
we'll put it as a quote.
IG.
We'll have it in here somewhere. Maybe it'll be at the very top. Who knows? I do because I edit these, so it's gonna be at the very top. You've already seen it. We're talking about full circle. It comes back to Jingle Jangle. Okay, everybody. Y'all, seriously, I want to thank you very much because this is serendipitously what I always hoped the Refinery could be. Not just us being able to explain to people how we have our shit together or how we don't, but to be able to show that. I didn't know that I was going to be the first one to openly and just lay it out and be so, it's embarrassing, but it's not. It's such a beautiful thing. And guys, don't feel pressure. This is what it's about. It's the only way we can get better. We gotta go through these things. We gotta let ourselves do this and find your group. Find your group where that voice in your head never says anything other than pick up the phone. You want,
and hey, thank you to you too, because you also were vulnerable and opened up. Because a lot of times guys would just jump into the next thing, completely put everything to the side and not speak about it. But literally you opening and speaking to that led to the topic of this whole call.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I forgot that it was being recorded. So I'm very fortunate to have you guys in my life, and I am very appreciative for this, especially during what is literally the busiest and one of the most emotionally turbulent weeks of 2020 for me. I appreciate you. I'm very thankful for you, and fucking love y'all. Incredible timing.
That's a crazy timing.
I don't want to interrupt.
Well,
No, that's
we'll
kind of
put a
crazy.
final bow on it.
Guys, hi.
There she is. Whoa,
Hey.
whoa. Hey.
Won't intrude, but I'm so happy you guys are back together.
I'm not gonna
See,
lie.
Very excited.
That's crazy that she just walked in. Literally, she was in my head when I envisioned it. Okay, well, I'm gonna.
And look, Maya's here now. Everyone's here.
Everyone.
The Refinery, season 2, episode 2, wrapping up with its final bow. I fucking love you guys.
Love you, man.
See you in 5 minutes.
Love you guys.
Peace.
You guys rock.